in Granada Hills, California, when a neo-Nazi who had driven for hours looking for a Jewish target entered the lobby of the main building and shot 70 rounds of ammunition with a semi-automatic rifle, injuring 3 young campers, 1 teenager, and 1 adult. My mom, after rushing to the scene, pregnant with me, not knowing whether she would ever see her children alive again, never fathomed that 18 years later, she would be reliving the same nightmare all over again. Never in my life had I ever imagined that I would be texting her as I ran from the sound of gunfire coming from the building I was supposed to be in, had I not been making up a test in another building on campus that day. On that day, 17 people lost their lives. 13 more were injured. Some of those victims were my classmates. 5 of them were part of our Jewish community, your community. Now, I feel it is my duty to speak out on behalf of those who no longer can, for my community and for myself. One child every other day. That's how many kids under the age of 12 have died from gunshots, both intentional and accidental, since December 14th, 2012, when a 20-year-old stormed into an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut, and shot dead 20 elementary school children and 6 adult staff members. So, what has changed since then in gun legislation? Not enough. Not enough if a 19-year-old with a history of violent and threatening behavior was able to purchase an AR-15 legally, enter my school, and commit this act of violence. If something doesn't change, these tragedies will continue to happen. I am not willing to accept that. We as a society should not be willing to accept that. I've been repeatedly asked what should be done, what needs to change, and my answer is simple. Common sense gun laws. That means lifting the ban on the CDC to do research on gun violence. That means mandatory universal background checks for all purchases and resale of firearms, closing the gun show loophole. That means banning high-capacity magazines, limiting the amount of bullets loaded into a weapon. That means raising the purchase age for all firearms to 21. That means a ban on assault weapons with a buyback program. There is no place for weapons of war in civil society. Americans need to love their children more than their guns. I'm here speaking to you today because many of you have the power to save lives and make a difference. Many of you have family in the U.S. You have brothers and sisters, grandchildren, nieces, and nephews. If the current lawmakers in the U.S. aren't willing to pass common sense gun laws and are not willing to find some common ground where everyone feels protected, not just those who own guns, then it is our duty, it is your duty as Jewish Americans to say enough is enough. And vote for those who are willing to put children's lives before their personal ambitions. Together we will make a difference. Your presence here today at the March for Our Lives event shows worldwide solidarity. Tomorrow, hundreds of thousands more will be marching across the U.S. and across the world. Thank you for being here and supporting this movement and a call to action. And please, register to vote. This time will be different. Toda rabah.